KCAA.com.
KCAA. KCAA now presents Crossroads, a program in the public interest, bringing you the issues you need to hear about here in our community. Now here's your host, Mark Westwood.
Good afternoon, and we're back for our second hour here at the Community Crossroads Desk. I'm Mark Westwood, and wow, the time's just flying by. And if you haven't already known this, I will tell you that today, I believe, is 34 days until the election. 34 days until the election. And, you know, we don't have much time. I think 4 or 5 weekends left before the election. The candidates are getting busier and busier, and there's time to start making choices. You're going to get your ballots here in the mail any day now. I believe they're starting to be mailed today and yesterday, and they should be in your mailboxes by the 7th, is what they're saying. And we will see what we are doing. You know, there is just an amazing amount of work to do. I was just talking to my guy in the control room about all the production we have to do here in the next day or so to get these candidate spots on and get them done and get them on the air for this weekend. You know, and we have holidays coming up. And so time to pay attention. And it's time to start doing your research and start listening. If you're one of those listeners that, you know, maybe you're hearing my show once in a while, or maybe you hear the news once in a while, but you don't know how to vote on the propositions. You really don't know what the candidates are, who to vote for tax assessor, you know, anything like that. Then you need to start Googling and paying attention, because the ballots are going to be there, and you're going to have to make that choice. And it's a very important choice, this election. There's a huge, diverse difference between the candidates. I hope you recognize that, and I hope you recognize, you know, that maybe an old 80-year-old man who seems to have some neurodivergent cognizance problems, you may not want to vote for him. Somebody who tried to overthrow our Constitution, our election, and is considering, you know, on day one, enacting something called Project 2025. If you don't know what that is, you got to research that. There is so much to decide on. There's so much to pay attention to. This election is coming fast, and it is like lightning speed all of a sudden, and it doesn't seem to be enough time to talk or meet the candidates, but I want you to meet this next candidate. We just finished this last hour talking with Lisa Middleton, a very, very, very qualified candidate, eminently better qualified than the person that's the incumbent, to making decisions, very pragmatic. We saw that, you know, she will part from the party and play in partisan politics and vote her mind and support things like Proposition 36 and support some things that maybe other Democrats didn't want to support and wanted to keep the stuff from Proposition 47 in place. We saw that. We've seen candidates that have different views on warehouses and things like that. We have a diverse group of people, but I will tell you the Democratic Party has a great bench. If you were a baseball team and you were a baseball manager, you'd be happy with this bench. You've got some really good players. And one of those players is on the phone with me right now. He's running for the 23rd Congressional District as the endorsed Democratic candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Derek Marshall.
Ballots are in the mayor, and there's a new marshal in town, Mark.
There's a new marshal in town. I love that spot. We see your signs up with the hat on. That's kind of cool. They're all over around my area. I hope that's the way it is in the Upper Desert and out in Palm Springs in that area too. Congratulations on being a candidate. Congratulations being a candidate. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself here for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Marshall, running for the 23rd Congressional District. Tell the listeners, give them a brief introduction of who you are.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Mark. Hey, listeners, this is Derek Marshall. I'm sure if you listen to this station, you have probably heard the commercial by now about there being a new marshal in town. And just, you know, we're playing off of my last name. I'm not actually law enforcement. I've got 2 L's. There's a new marshal in town. And I'm running for Congress here in California's 23rd Congressional District. I'm looking to change leadership. We've had one guy who's been in there for a couple of cycles now, and he's not particularly effective and not particularly great at the work that he's doing in terms of bringing back resources to the district. And I'm looking to change that. And if you're sitting there thinking, does this guy represent the contours of the district? It goes from Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead crest line. It goes across the Mojave Desert, Victorville, Hesperia, Apple Valley, Adelanto, all the way to the Nevada line. It includes Yucaipa. It includes South Redlands, Loma Linda, parts of Highland, parts of San Bernardino, and the Morongo Basin. So it's got Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree. And as if that wasn't enough, we also have California City, and we have Lake Los Angeles as well. So we are a massive district, the size of West Virginia. I feel like I'm running for governor of a small to medium-sized state when I'm running. And in terms of policy that I support, like I said a second ago, I mean, I'm going to do anything and everything that it takes to bring back the resources to our community. We are a logistics community with the I-15 and the I-10 corridors. There's a lot of development that is currently happening. I think that the way
and when
that
we say you're a logistic community, that means there's a lot of trucking and transportation that's going on over the roads, moving items and goods around, services. Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, go ahead.
Well, exactly. And so, and my whole thing right now is we're developing very quickly, and the question is how do we develop, right? We talk about warehouses. We take a look at the pollution that we're seeing right now in the air. We talk about just the needs. I mean, we've got a huge strike on the East Coast with longshoremen, and so there's a lot of thought right now going into logistics. And I think that it's really important to have someone that's going to be ready on day one with the relationships, both in Sacramento and in Washington, to be able to get in and make sure that our region develops in a way that, on the one hand, ensures that there's going to be jobs and lots of new jobs that are coming to the region. Jobs are good, but at the same time is protecting and developing communities that are providing good air to, good and clean air to breathe, clean water to drink. And I think right now the reason that we have such a good bench is because folks like Lisa Middleton, Christy Holstage, the whole slate that I'm running alongside of, it's kind of a one package deal. If you vote for all of us, you're going to get a bunch of folks that like each other, that are working with each other, and know how to advocate for smart policy at every single level of government.
You know what would be so nice, Derek?
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
To elect some good, smart people like Derek Marshall and Christy Holstage and Lisa Middleton and Kamala Harris, and people that we can put in these spaces to do the job, and we don't have to think as much. We don't have to worry as much. We don't have to keep our eyes constantly on them. We don't have to hear a barrage of crazy things being said. Imagine the next 4 years without having to listen to Donald Trump ever again. I mean, that's heaven. That's heaven, folks. Not hear, J.D. Vance saying some crazy things about cats, or denying the fact that Donald Trump tried to overturn the election. Imagine that. Imagine that. And with the Democrats that we're talking about here, these aren't radical Democrats. These are Democrats that, when you think about it, are conserving our Constitution, are conserving our way of life. Life, liberty, justice, equality, equity for all, freedom for all. Kamala Harris's big song by Beyonce is freedom, freedom. I mean, that's what we all want. These aren't like obscure ideas or concepts, folks. These candidates represent what has been the core, the words at the base of the Statue of Liberty, the Colossus poem. Give me you're tired, you're poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. That's what we've always stood for, right, Derek? Derek?
Absolutely, and I'm really happy to be on that side.
Yes, I'm proud to be on that side. I really am. We're not radicals. No Democrats have ever taken your guns away. We may regulate them a little bit more to protect our children so that our children don't have to worry about being in school, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the other thing that's great about this slate of candidates is that all of us have Republican friends. All of us are used to working across the aisle. And that's something that I really am very proud of with the slate of candidates that we have right now. And that, I would say none of us are super, super partisan, right? Like, we're all independent-minded people, really, really independent. I personally have an independent vein inside of me. I've been endorsed by the Working Families Party in addition to the Democratic Party. And there's only two other candidates in the entire state of California, congressional candidates, that were endorsed by the Working Families Party. And that alone goes to show, if the listener here and you're trying to make a decision right now.
You're breaking up just a little bit, Derek. I don't know if you're on your phone, turn your head one way or the other.
Okay.
Okay. A little bit better. I don't know. Stand up, sit down. I don't know what you need to do, but I think it's going to improve here in just a minute. Proud to have Derek Marshall, candidate for the 23rd Congressional District, on the line with us, and he's running on the ballot for November 5th. And so, Derek, we'll continue on with you now.
Awesome. Sounds good, Mark.
Yeah. Sounds good here, too.
Okay, perfect.
And we're talking about issues and talking about not being, strictly partisan, but representing the people and the issues first, not partisan politics. We're not on teams where one team has to beat the other. We're all on the same boat together. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you are on the same boat together. And things like, turning the lights on, right? The lights need to work. Clean water to drink, good schools. Those types of things are important to people when you break it down, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the great thing about, the slate of candidates that we have is that we are, we're really committed to being everybody's candidate and elected once we're elected to serve everybody. And that has been something I think people are just tired of the bickering. They're tired of the Republican on Democrat bickering that's happening. Heck, I'm tired of it, And so I think that's the really great thing of this coalition of candidates that I'm running with right now is that all of us feel the same way. And we're not afraid to reach across the aisle. We're not afraid to have those friendships and to really have the hard conversations. And that's something that is fantastic. And we understand the role of government. I mean, the problem with my opponent is that he just doesn't fundamentally believe that the government has any role in almost anything. And what makes it so hard is that when you're talking about fix and roll roads, if you're talking about bringing back resources to the district, right, money that you need for local schools, for parks, for investment in the Brightline West bullet train, for example, he loves to put his face and say, "Oh, look at I'm tied to this Brightline West." Well, he voted no on the project, so it's like how dare he put his face on there saying, "Oh, I'm a great champion of this project," when he voted no on the funding mechanism.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Hypocrisy.
He voted no on the project and then is trying to take credit for it. Where have we heard this before? And this is what we're dealing with. Somebody who votes as he's told to vote. And that's the problem. When you try to elect somebody and you do elect somebody or you vote for somebody and you really don't know that they're electing, they're not representing you. They're representing Donald Trump or somebody in Washington, D.C. or some PAC or some lobbying firm. And there's something fundamentally wrong with that. We need to send people to Washington, D.C. like Derek Marshall who will listen to the people, who is a part of these people, who isn't over and above or separated from or thinks they're insulated from that part of our real challenges, real problems, child care, pre-kindergarten child care. Child care is hard to pay for, but parents are burdened with that every day. Things like medical leave, health care coverage. Hey, here's a new concept, Derek. You want to hear a new concept? Dental coverage. Imagine we're so busy trying to fight for some basic medical rights, keeping, having something, a predisposition where you're eliminated for, something that you already had, Um, Imagine if we didn't have to fight for that and we could, have really good, decent medical care, affordable medical care. It's gotten more affordable, more people are covered, but we can do better. We all know that. But imagine adding dental to that. Dentistry is so expensive to the average person. You have to have a bridge, it's $2,300. You get a tooth pulled or something, it's $1,000, $1,300. How couldn't we have a program that covered dental too?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, dental care is healthcare, vision care is healthcare, mental care is healthcare. We really, I think, need to kind of elevate and enter the 21st century, or certainly the other group of developed nations that provide really thorough, thoughtful healthcare. And that is, definitely one of the things on my platform that I really am a champion of. I believe very strongly in a Medicare for all system. Having spent some time in Germany and France and in the UK and having been abroad and having lived in societies where healthcare is covered, it's amazing to not have deductibles. It's amazing to not have premiums all of this is when you have people from other countries, other developed countries, they come here, their jaws drop to the floor when they see that the way in which our private healthcare system here works. And what's crazy is that it's like 60, 70% of all bankruptcies in the United States are because of healthcare costs.
Absolutely.
And no other country has that.
People are going broke by just trying to be healthy. People are going bankrupt by trying to take care of their loved ones, to make sure that their older parents or their elderly parents are taken care of properly. We have to do better. We're doing better, but we have to do better. And part of that is not just funding it or insuring it, but actually having the infrastructure in place where we have enough trained medical professionals, radiologists, dental people, all those people trained. Part of that is we make that more available for people to be educated and learn and be trained in those professions and those vocations. There's all kinds of things that we really need to do better at. And, Derek, I've had you on a few times. And it's also always delightful. But, one of the things I want to do is maybe open up the phone lines a little bit and maybe talk to a person or two. They might have questions because, I have the microphone all the time and you have the microphone a lot. Let's open it up. 1-888-909-1050, 1-888-909-1050. Be polite, be mature, be respectful, but we would love to talk to you. 909-792-KCAA or 909-792-5222. Or the last toll-free number is 888-909-KCAA, just 5222. So you can dial any of those numbers, and let's see, if we have somebody on the line here. We have, it looks like line 3 going here. This is Mark Westwood on KCA 1050 AM 106.5 FM with Derek Marshall. Who do we have on the line? Hello?
Hello, yes, this is Stacy.
Hi, Stacy. Thank you for calling into KCAA today and the Community Crossroads Show. We have Derek Marshall on the line. Do you have a question for him?
I do. I was listening a little earlier, and Derek said he wants to bring resources back to the area. I'm just wondering if he has maybe a top 1 or top 2 objectives that he wants to fund if he were to get resources brought here.
Derek, did you hear that?
So repeat the question again for me, Mark. It was a
okay. No, I'm sorry. I just said I was listening in earlier, and you said that you wanted to bring resources to the area, and I was just wondering if you had maybe a top 1 or 2 projects that you would like to see realized here.
Resources, top 1 or 2 project, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the biggest benefits that me and our campaign, our coalition bring to the table is not only really good relationships with Washington and Sacramento, because, look, truth be told, if folks think about it, right now, whether you love them or hate them, Democrats are having a supermajority in Sacramento. And when you have Democrats, when you elect a Democrat that is able to have those good relationships with the party in power, particularly here in California, that means that you're going to get your projects greenlit a lot easier than some of the Republicans that are out here. And that's just business, right? And that's kind of, it functions both ways. And I hate to say it like that, and I don't necessarily think it's right. But it sort of is the reality, and the same thing is happening kind of at the federal level as well. And so pivoting back though, in terms of like the resources and the projects, again, because of the good relationships that we have with Sacramento, because of the good relationships that we have with trade unions, so with LIUNA and Teamsters, the AFL-CIO, because of the good relationships that we have with the Center for Biological Diversity and Sierra Club, and with business. Lisa Middleton is beloved of the business community. And so because of this coalition, because we have these great relationships with normally sides that are opposed to each other, we're going to be able to fast track a lot of different types of projects. Projects like one of which our campaign is calling it "Don't Kill Me for the Name," a Marshall Plan for the Inland Empire, or a Marshall Plan for the I-10 and the I-15 corridors. And basically, what we're looking to do is to build a renewable energy logistics corridor on disturbed land that is that involves both unions and conservationists at the table, and business that sit down with federal and state officials and say, hey, okay, how are we going to be able to bring what types of resources? And, we all know that global climate change is happening, right? I mean, it's 100 degrees today here in Victorville, and I was out knocking doors. I knocked 200 doors yesterday. I knocked a bunch of doors today. I felt like I was going to pass out. It's October 3rd, and it's over 100 degrees. So we know that climate change is happening. So we're both the front lines of global climate change, but also front lines of the solution to global climate change. Because of this logistics corridor, because we have a lot of what environmentalists and conservationists like to say as disturbed land, we have a lot of territory and a lot of area that we can build renewable projects such as solar. One of the ideas is to do a solar development along the I-15 or along the I-10. Offer programs to cover solar on warehouse rooftops. Things that are going to, on the one hand, create jobs because all this needs to be built, and on the other hand, is going to help us to fight back against climate change. And so I would like to I think the woman's name was Stacy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Stacy, thank you so much for the question. And the answer is to really take a look at the region, take a look at the reality of where we find ourselves, and then use and leverage all of these fantastic relationships we have with both political parties, with business, with labor, with conservationists, in order to really help to elevate and smartly develop our region.
Absolutely. Great answer. Stacy, do you have another question?
Well, I think he answered really so thoroughly that I've got a lot to think about now.
And that's what candidates are supposed to do. Stacy, thank you for calling in. If you have a question you'd like to call in and talk to Derek Marshall, we would love to talk to you. The number is 888-909-1050. That's 888-909-1050 or 792-KCAA. Derek, we're going to take a break between now and then, and we'll be right back after this.
Thanks.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Hurricane Helene is now the deadliest storm to hit the mainland U.S. since Hurricane Katrina. Officials say at least 204 people have died due to this storm that slammed the southeast a week ago. At least 72 people have died in Buncombe County, North Carolina. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is calling on the White House to step up and end the dock workers' strike along the Gulf and East Coasts
We have 16 different deep water seaports. We will work with you to get critical commodities to shore and promptly plugged in.
He says the Biden-Harris administration has a responsibility to help the Hurricane Helene storm victims and make sure they have the supplies they need. The Lebanese army says it returned fire at Israeli forces today. In a post on X, the Lebanese army said one of its soldiers was killed when IDF forces targeted one of its posts. I'm Brian Shook.
We've got to hire a new marshal, Derek Marshall. Your ballots are in the mail. Mail them in today. Now there's something to vote for because there's a new marshal in town. Vote Derek Marshall for 23rd Congress.
Y'all know we need to change Congress. The current Congress does nothing but fight with each other. They've forgotten why we sent them there, to work. Let's marshal and fix our problems at the border. A comprehensive plan, not political rhetoric and infighting.
Yes, there's a new marshal in town.
The rent is too darn high. Let's marshal in affordable housing and real affordable universal health care. Better union jobs.
The current Congress member put his party first and not people. But there's a new marshal in town.
Our incumbent party politician voted no on the recently passed bipartisan infrastructure bill. He voted no to $3 billion in new funds for our district and no to 35,000 new jobs right here at home. He said, we need a secure border, but now he's rolled it back to play politics. We need to marshal real solutions.
Vote for Derek Marshall because we've got to hire a new marshal, Derek Marshall. You can go to DerekMarshallCA.com. Paid for by Derek Marshall for Congress.
My name is Derek Marshall, and I approve this message.
Re-elect Don Williamson as your county assessor. Some people run for office to serve themselves first. Others, like Don Williamson, run for office to serve you. He has a history of service as a former Marine and tax saver. When you're the assessor, you need real experience and knowledge to be effective. As a former 3-term San Bernardino County assessor, Don has a wealth of information for the people. Now he's back, running again because he wants to help people first, including seniors, veterans, mobile homeowners, and small business owners. Don's the only real experienced, educated, and certified tax professional from San Bernardino County who's actually done the job. He's a public servant. Don Williamson will cut your high taxes again. Go to VoteDonWilliamson.com. That's VoteDonWilliamson.com.
I'm Donald Williamson, Semper Fi. I want to help you save money. I approve this message.
Paid for by the committee to re-elect Don Williamson 2024.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Dibbs, teacher running for school board here in Garden Grove Unified Trustee Area 1. We need quality vocational education. The district cut 10 intermediate school woodshop classes and 4 auto shop classes. We need these classes back so students can have a better future. No matter where you live across this country, please support this effort so we can have quality vocational education. Go to nickdibs.org, nickdibs.org. Thank you.
I approve this announcement paid for by Dibs for School Board 2024.
KCAA.
And we're back. I'm Mark Westwood, Community Crossroads. This hour we have Derek Marshall, candidate for the 23rd Congressional District. And hi, welcome back, Derek.
Hey, Mark.
Hello. Good to have you back for the second half of this hour here. Derek's an old friend and an activist and somebody who really cares about the issues. He's a people person. He's out there knocking doors in the hot, sweltering 110, 106-degree heat. He is a committed candidate who is committed to the values that are most important to you. And one value that we keep hearing about, and I'm going to insert my own opinion here just briefly, Derek, for a minute, is I keep hearing, especially from our president who talks about babies being aborted after 9 months, which is not true, millions and millions of people being killed by people coming over the border, or cats being eaten by Haitians. And, my take on this is that, number one, I haven't seen any of this. We have had governors, we've had mayors telling us, no, it's absolutely not true. We have so much coming at us right now. This border thing is not the issue that people think it is. At least I haven't experienced it. And I live in one of the largest geographic border states in the nation. And, I haven't seen an onslaught of any crime-based immigrant crime or anything like that. But what do we do to address not only what they're saying, but these actual challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, first of all, it's, it's an issue that the Republicans and a lot of folks have brought up time and time and time again, and they use it as a boogeyman, as a scarecrow to be able to rally up a response. And that's not to say migration as a boogeyman, and it's not particularly unique. I mean, we have been having generation upon generation upon generation of immigration into the United States, and pretty much every single wave of immigration is met with some type of skepticism and people crying foul. And if it wasn't the Mexicans, it was Irish, and if it wasn't the Irish, it was the Italians. The Italians was the Germans.
Okay, just break it up again one more time, Derek. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
There, we're
that's
getting
being in the high desert. That's one thing that we're going to make sure to have is more reliable internet and phone service.
Absolutely. Happens. It does happen. We were talking about immigration and reliable laws and responsible laws, and also what I have to say is responsible rhetoric. And when you incite people, when you scare people, when you freak people out about something that isn't the truth, you're acting irresponsibly, you're acting selfishly. Talk about the issues, talk about your solutions, talk about, the challenges, give us your opinions. We'll agree with you or not agree with us, but, don't tear people down to build yourself up.
Right.
And I think that that's what Donald Trump has been doing. And I just want to discover the joy that Kamala Harris will bring us, and that, Coach Walsh will bring us, and just the logic and insanity. And, maybe we can sleep at night a little bit and not have to worry about our rights and our dignity being taken away. Or, I don't know if you remember this or not. I was interviewing Pete Aguilar in 2018. It was before, it was after the Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump election, and Donald Trump was president of the United States. And we had noted that in his first year and a half in his presidency, he had spent, are you ready for this? $212 million. $212 million back in 2018 on just stuff for his presidency, whether it was flying here and there, golf excursions, paying family members, just splurging on himself. Can you imagine a president? We can't afford that in Donald Trump. $212 million. Is that unbelievable or what?
It's wild. It's
just wild. And he'll do it again. And his family members will make all kinds of money. And then we have this issue of, what he's been threatening on day one, of executing his adversaries and his opponents, of jailing people, of enacting something that is this 750-page, some odd page book called Project 2025. And, unbelievable stuff, taking rights away, prosecuting people, eliminating the EPA and all kinds of things. What do you say about Project 2025, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, with regards to irresponsible rhetoric, I mean, we have to tone it down in this country. I feel like on all sides, but particularly, with Trump and with MAGA. I mean, it's the cats and the dogs thing, and there are consequences. I mean, January 6th was a consequence of rhetoric and of campaigning and trying to sow mistrust in the electorate. And my opponent's first ever vote was to object to the certification of Arizona and Pennsylvania because of irresponsible rhetoric. And so I think that we need to underscore, highlight. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If there is a politician that is engaging in inappropriate, gone too far rhetoric, you need to just not vote for them because there are consequences, and people unfortunately die, and there's a lot of violence that comes because of inappropriate rhetoric. And I think that, everything that we're seeing in Ohio, everything that we're seeing with January 6th, I mean, it's totally inappropriate. And moreover than that, pivoting now or to Project 2025, I mean, this is not coming from nowhere, right? Project 2025 is coming from the Heritage Foundation, which is the think tank for the Republican Party. Project 2025 is the latest version. It's the latest software version of the ideology that folks like my opponent and a lot of Republicans, not all, but a lot of Republicans are trying to bring in. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get rid of Medicare. They're trying to privatize health care because, oh, hey, every single person on this call really loves the private health insurance system that we have right now. We all love paying those deductibles. We all love, having grandma get sick and suddenly get hit with a $10,000 bill, or you walk wrong or funny out your front door, you got a sprain, you go to the doctor, you get $5,000. We all love that. No, we don't love that, right?
Right.
And Project 2025 is trying to not only not move us away from that, it's trying to say, no, actually, we're going to get rid of the Medicare system. We're going to privatize everything because we seem so satisfied with the current healthcare system. So, and that's just one example, right? It's trying to privatize Social Security, right? If you're living on a fixed income.
And we have your opponent running for Congress that supports all of those irresponsible rhetorics, those irresponsible actions. Like, for instance, when Donald Trump got on TV, national TV, and said, Joe Biden is not responding to the hurricane victims. Well, it was absolutely untrue. In Georgia, the governor called and said, no, I talked to him last night. And, he said, anything you need, and if you're not getting something done, give me a call. I'll get on it. That's the kind of, exchange a president with a governor should have when there's been a disaster in the state. And then you go back to Project 2025. And Project 2025, this book, this plan, this playbook that they've got for day one, eliminates the government having to help and give aid to disaster victims. I mean,
exactly. And it's so classic. And the reason that I brought up my opponent's first ever vote was because if you're a reasonable person that then gets into at the federal level or gets into Congress, and then your first vote is to decertify a democratic election put forward by the Constitution, and that's your first ever vote.
Yeah, outrageous.
Absolutely going to be in lockstep for Project 2025.
So you're breaking up just a little bit, but I'm going to tell you that Derek's talking about, Jay Abernathy's first vote when he got into Congress was to decertify the election. And, we know that election, today the headlines are back again. Jack Smith is back saying, okay, we're going to prosecute him as a candidate, not as the president. He was acting as a candidate, not as the president, and he was trying to overthrow our election. But yeah, Jay Abernathy was right along there. That's the guy that is the 23rd incumbent right now, right along with Donald Trump in all this mess and everything he says. He continues to support him because Donald Trump is his lifeline. Donald Trump's not my lifeline. I don't think Donald Trump is Derek Marshall's lifeline, right?
No.
And he continues to support it. And so we need to send a new Marshall in town, Derek Marshall, to Congress from the 23rd Congressional District to represent us and to take Congress back so that Kamala Harris, when she gets elected with her 349 electoral votes, it's my prediction, 349 electoral votes, I'll tell you in a bit, that she has the ability to fix things further, build them back even better. President Biden has done one heck of a job undoing the chaos of his previous administration, Donald Trump. They left him with a pandemic, tons of jobs lost, a budget deficit, all these things. And he has slowly, methodically, and quietly served us and worked well. He's not a great orator. Not a great debater. That doesn't mean that he isn't a good thinker. He is a good thinker. He's got a good heart, and he's a good person who takes action and, acts for us on our behalf. Joe Biden did that. Kamala Harris is the vice president. And when you stand in front of people and blame her for all kinds of manner of things that Congress does or that the president of the United States is responsible for, she's the vice president. not the president. And so all of a sudden they're running against her. They're trying to blame her for everything. And this is Jay Owolte. He does this time and time again. He's too busy playing partisan politics. He's too busy, sucking up to Donald Trump and running around and being his boy. He's too busy doing all that to really represent us here. And I'm a member, and I'm a voting member of the 23rd Congressional District. And that's why I'm going to vote for I'm going to vote for Derek Marshall. And it's such a privilege and honor to have you here. We've got about maybe another 12 minutes. And I want you to pick what you want to talk about next, Derek. Your priority and what you think is the most important thing you can do as our next congressman in the 23rd Congressional District.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if you're running for office in the Inland Empire, in the high desert, I would be having a huge miss if I didn't talk about homelessness. And I feel like right now we have a housing emergency, a housing crisis here in California. We have a homeless emergency here in California, and I really want to help to stitch together this coalition of down ballot candidates to address and finally eliminate homelessness from our region, from the state. And the way that we do that, we have seen model after model. It's a housing first model. It is a mental health care model. And what you do is you do things like the wellness center that we built here in Victorville, but you do it at scale, right? Right now we have 170 beds at this wellness center. And the wellness center is incredible because they have individual pods that you can have a key card to enter. You have your own space. They have a dog park as part of it. And then they have mental health care facilities, wraparound services, social services, job search services, all that are included in this Simba Center, Wellness Center up in Victorville. And I think it's a fantastic model that we can really expand throughout the rest of the Inland Empire to just once and for all end homelessness in our region. And I think that what it takes to get that done, or what it will take to get that done, is people working at every level of the government together, city council, state assembly, state senate, Congress, Senate, to be able to make sure that we have the resources. The vision is there, and there are countries that have already eliminated homelessness, and so we know that it can be done. And I think it's high time that we do that right home here in the Inland Empire, and that's going to be something that is going to be one of my top priorities. My opponent loves to talk about how he's for veterans, and it's funny because privately, the number of veterans that I have heard that are totally just completely frustrated with my opponent it grows by the day. But the number of homeless veterans that we have on our streets right now, and that's something that not a lot of people talk about. I mean, we have a ton of homeless veterans right home here in San Bernardino County in the Inland Empire. And that just should not be the case. And so one of my top priority issues is going to be to end and eradicate homelessness.
And that doesn't mean eliminate homeless people. When you're homeless, that doesn't mean you lose your constitutional rights to, life, liberty, justice, the pursuit of happiness, all those types of things. But, there's multiple reasons why people are homeless. It could be substance abuse, drug dependency. It could be economic disparity, don't have a job, lack of training. It could be an emotional and mental problem. It could be a medical problem. There are all kinds of reasons why people are homeless. So there has to be a multilateral approach to helping these people and giving them a hand up and helping them off the streets and out of that homeless net that they're in. And so many things that are just basic things that we could provide. And here we have a congressional candidate who's not running around trying to be a Washington, D.C. elitist, who's not running around trying to gather as much money as he can. He's talking about a very basic thing, humanitarian, helping people right here at home. Our veterans on the streets, people that are, in San Bernardino, they're in the parks right now. And in 2 weeks, they're saying they're going to remove them from the parks. Where are they going to remove them to? What is the solution? We need to pay attention to that and do the right things. And, there's homeless children, there's homeless seniors, there's homeless students, there's veterans. There's all numbers and any kinds of numbers, and those numbers keep growing. Homelessness is not going to go away, Derek. if we ignore it, right? It's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. And so we need to address it. And we need a congressional candidate like Derek Marshall who's willing to address it. It's not glamorous. It's not something that's going to make you any money. In fact, it might, take resources from you. It's not something that a lot of candidates that are there to serve themselves at the buffet line, like Jay Obermulti is, it's not there for that. But when you're there to serve others first and serve others, and you're that kind of a candidate, that's the kind of candidate I want to vote for. That's the kind of candidate I want to elect. Let's talk about, just simple things like public safety. How do you stand on public safety, Derek?
Yeah, I think that public safety comes from economic security, and I feel like if you are solving people's immediate needs, that is the true grassroots. That's the true root of a lot of the issues that we see. And so, security, and this is not a novel idea. Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the 1930s had a second Bill of Rights saying that everyone deserved health care, everyone deserved a right to housing, everyone deserved the right to a job, a decent wage, and I really am inspired by this. But Roosevelt wasn't just doing it to be a nice guy. I'm not doing it to just be a nice guy. It's a very practical approach, because if you take away the immediate need, if people are able to pay their rent, if they're able to get health care, if they're able to take care of the kids, send the kids to college, and at the end of every month, work in a full-time job, they're able to save $2,000, they're able to meet all their bills. Well, guess what? You're going to eliminate a lot of the insecurity that we're feeling. A lot of the crime that we see right now is coming from the fact that people are struggling. And so I think that
and the rent is too damn high.
And the rent is too damn high, Mark.
That's a chant we always say, and it's the truth. With this unabashed real estate market, nothing regulated, just runaway houses became investments instead of homes, and we have 900 square foot houses selling for $500,000 here in Southern California. We've got to do something about that, because families need homes, people need homes, and not everybody is this very astute, smart, logical person that can make their way through this whole chaos we call life and have an $80,000 pickup truck and a $500,000 home and put their kids through school and work. They may not have the capacity to do that, or the ability to do that. So we need to figure out how to help them and how to give everybody an even par. Equity.
Yeah.
That's the definition, I believe, of equity. Am I wrong or right?
No, that sounds great. And, I think ultimately that's what me and this coalition of candidates is looking to do. We want to make sure that, that there's a chicken in every pot, right? We want to make sure that, if you're a hardworking person, that you are able to work a full-time job and you're able to afford all your bills and you're able to save, right?
That's right.
If you are struggling, you've fallen on hard times, a parent has died and you're dealing with addiction and you find yourself on the streets, that you get a hand up, right? Mm-hmm. Because we all benefit. A rising tide lifts all ships. And I don't want to live in a society where there's homelessness. I don't want to live in a society where people are struggling, right?
Right.
To me, that is not a nice place to live. And going to societies where there isn't homelessness and where people they're happy, right? They're not mad all the time. Their nervous systems aren't on fire because they're driving 3-4 hours, on the I-10 or the I-15 to go to work. They're not, struggle. How am I going to be able to pay this bill? Oh, if I don't pay this bill right now, I'll be able to pay this other bill, and then maybe I can pay this late fee right here. And the reason, Mark, that you and I know that is because unlike my opponent, who's worth $100 million, we are working class people.
That's right. We've had to live that.
Struggle.
We've had to make those decisions. We've had to say, okay, I can pay this bill next week, and it's only going to cost me $40 in fines and penalties to do it, but I've got to do it because I got to pay for this, or I have to eat, or I have to have food, or I have to have gas in my car. it's, or I have to go buy medication. And seniors, people like us do that. You're one of us, Derek Marshall. And, if you're not absolutely enchanted by now with Derek Marshall and realize you need to go home and get that ballot out of the mailbox and check that box next to Derek Marshall's name, how can they find out more information on the internet about you?
Absolutely. So my website is derekmarshallca.com. So that's DEREK Marshall, MARSHALLCA for the state of California.com. Also, everyone has their ballot. Ballots are in the mail. There's a new marshal in town. Go and check the ballot book. We have a ballot statement in there that you can read my ballot statement. You can read my opponent's ballot statement. And so you can find more information there as well.
Well, very, very good. And we just got about 3 more minutes. I did this with Lisa last hour. This is your time, Derek, to speak directly to the voters and tell them why they should vote for you. Ladies and gentlemen, candidate Derek Marshall, the 23rd Congressional District.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark, and thank you to all the listeners today. Again, my name is Derek Marshall. There's a new marshal in town. I'm not law enforcement, but I've got 2 L's. And, my thing is simple, right? I'm an independent-minded person, right? I happen to be the Democratic nominee, but if you're a Republican, if you're not of the same political party, I want to be your representative. I'm someone that knows how to get stuff done, and I can't say the same about my opponent. And so if we're talking about a job interview, I think the choice is pretty clear. If you're a senior that's listening today, there's only one candidate of the 2 of us that's going to actually protect your Social Security. If you take a look at Project 2025, which my opponent is beholden to, it calls for eliminating Social Security. And I'm just telling you, I'm going to protect your Social Security. Same thing with Medicare. If you're a woman out there who really wants bodily autonomy, I am your guy because I believe in a woman's right to choose. I don't believe that I should be creating policy that's going to, control your choice. So I think the option there is clear. If you're someone that wants jobs in the Inland Empire, I want you to think today, okay, who is actually going to be able to bring together all the groups? Is it the person that is, a wing nut, is a partisan, or is it the person that has proven time and again that they're able to work across the aisle with different people to get stuff done? Again, my name is Derek Marshall, independent-minded person, really would love to be your next member of Congress, and I hope that the traffic is not too bad out there today.
Thank you, Derek Marshall, for taking the time to be on with us once more again. The election is November 5th. IWillVote.com if you haven't registered to vote or you need to check on your ballots or anything like that. IWillVote.com will take you to the state, take you to the California Secretary of State. You can figure it out. It's real easy. Please vote, ladies and gentlemen. We need people like Derek Marshall, 23rd Congressional District in Congress. We need to have a logical Congress, and California can do that. We have enough congressional candidates that can win, and Will Rollins and Derek Marshall and Pete Aguilar and Norma Torres and Judy Chu, that we can take this and we can make this country what it should be. Mark Westwood on Community Crossroads. Thank you to Derek Marshall. Thank you to Lisa Middleton. Thank you to Eric Casario in the studio. We will be back next week with more candidates and more campaign information for you. Vote.
KCAA Loma Linda.